You weren't born afraid of being too much. You were trained to feel that way. Let's talk about the light you were born with and who convinced you to dim it. Welcome back to the Love Who You Are series. This is video 2, and I am Angie, your Inner Glow coach. I help high-achieving women remember who they were before they started performing for love. And stay until the end because, like all of my videos, I have a powerful action item for you. Many women struggle with identity confusion because they don't know who they are without the performance. And if that's you, that's okay, because this used to be me too. I wasn't confident, I didn't love myself, but I didn't love myself because I wasn't even being myself. You know, and I say this in a lot of my other videos, we were all born with this light inside of us, because when you see little kids, they will say anything, they will do anything, they run around, they scream, they do not give AF what anyone else thinks. They're not worried about being too loud. They're not worried about being too emotional. They're not worried about being too intense. Because we are born as expressive balls of light. We're curious, playful, sensitive, creative. We have this light inside of us. But then as we move along life, society systems or family systems or school systems tell us how we should or should not be. And that starts dimming our light, because when we're conforming to things outside of ourselves, we're dimming our own self-expression. And that's how we feel safe in those environments growing up. But then as adults, we don't have to dim ourselves to feel safe anymore. But now that's the only thing we know, because we've been doing it for 18 years. So, you know, as an adult, we're still agreeable. We're still like, we want to be impressive, but not too much. Or we want to, you know, be successful, but not too intimidating. So we still do this self-editing of ourselves. And eventually that self-edited version of us becomes our identity, but that's not who we really are, because that's the dimmed version of us, because our light has been dimmed by all these external factors. And I talked about my personal story more in detail in the last video, because I spent years giving to things outside of myself. And when I started my healing journey, I thought I needed more confidence and self-worth, which is true, but what I actually needed was to know my real identity, because I didn't even know who I was without performing all these roles for all these external sources, because I was always hypervigilant and reading the room, because I didn't know which version of me would get the love or be accepted, or I would play a role so that I wouldn't be criticized. But when I finally stopped performing, I discovered like what I actually liked. And even better than that, I appreciated my quirks that I had spent years trying to hide. And when I finally discovered my true identity and what I wanted and what made me happy, that's when I started loving and accepting myself, because I love who I really am, but I hated that like edited identity that I was when I was performing. So when you stop asking, what will they think of me? What if people judge me? Will I still belong? And start caring about feeling free to be who you actually are, feeling safe, being fully expressed, even if it makes other people uncomfortable, because trust me, it will. And when you start caring about doing things for you because they make you happy and they're aligned with your life purpose, not because you should, because that's what society says, or just in general, caring about creating your own rules for life and not living by the arbitrary society rules that you didn't even choose. That's when you can start create your own rules for life, and that's how you live a life that feels just as good as it looks. Because then you aren't just surviving and only living at 80% of your potential and just checking off all the boxes and doing all the things that look good. You're thriving and living at 100% of your potential and feel fully expressed, radiant, and joyful. And you don't have to do anything to prove your worth, because when you are lit up from the inside from your own love and happiness, then you are basking in the being of your worth, and you don't have to prove anything. Because if you are alive on this earth right now, you deserve to be loved for who you are, and you are worthy of love and approval. And not everyone else will see that, and that's okay, because all you have to do is live a life that is true to you and feels good to you. That is how you love and accept yourself. And also, if you want to go deeper into the work of creating your own rules for life, I do that in my People Pleasing Masterclass, or you can apply for a Signature Glow session, and I will put both of those links in the description, or you can find them on my website. But my point is, we are unavailable for society's arbitrary rules. We aren't blindly following rules that don't serve us anymore. Because when you love and accept yourself, you feel like you're actually living. You feel radiant and not just responsible. You feel excited by your own light. And that's what it means to shine from the inside. So, the action item for today. The L in my GLOW method stands for light yourself up, and it's based on the concept of rekindling that inner light inside of you. Because up-leveling to the next level of your identity is a process, but there are so many quick wins that you can do immediately to quickly gain confidence and momentum on your journey. And one of them is today's action step. So ask yourself, either journal or reflect, what lit you up when you were a child? So go back to around 6 years old, but it could also be a teenager. But think about what you did that lit you up. So for example, for me, I love to read, I love to write, and I love to dance. So just think about the things that light you up. And also, I work with a lot of women. They're so disconnected from their light that they don't even remember what lit them up. And if that is you, that is okay, because the assignment is do at least one thing a day that brings you joy. So the reason I recommend going back to your childhood is because usually those are the things that bring us joy. We have just become disconnected to them. So for example, I didn't write for like 20 years. And when I started writing again, it totally lit me up. So, and now the one thing I do a day that brings me joy is surfing, and I didn't do that as a child. So just do one thing a day that brings you joy. And it doesn't have to be something intensive or time consuming. So for example, my one thing a day is usually surfing, but that's like a whole thing because I usually surf for an hour and then there's like the getting ready and the to and from. So I don't always have time for it. But if I'm short on time, then my alternate activity is dancing, because most songs these days are really only like 3 minutes long. So even if you're strapped for time and you put on a 3.5 minute song and just dance your heart away, that counts as one thing a day that brings you joy. So it doesn't have to be something grandiose. It just has to rekindle that light inside of you. And doing this gets you in the habit of, first of all, feeling good because you deserve to feel that way, but also just gets you in the habit of rekindling that light inside of you and injecting that joy into your everyday life, because we deserve a life that feels good and not just looks good on paper. So in the next video, we are going to confront some beliefs that keep you stuck at 80%, even though you may logically know better. So I will see you in video 3 of the Love Who You Are series.